Welcome to the latest episode of The Houses of Merida. I'm Eric Partney, your host, and we're here today with YucatanLiving.com. Today, we're about 30 minutes outside of the city, which is the first time we've been able to shoot something outside of the city. We're on a hacienda, Hacienda Sac Chich. Sac Chich means white bird. A hacienda is more like a plantation in the United States, except they only had one crop here, and that was henequen. Behind me is a henequen plant. The henequen plant was more or less the source of all of the wealth of the Yucatan. It was considered the green gold. You can always spot a hacienda by looking for the chimenea, which would show you where they were actually manufacturing the rope and shredding the henequen. The reason we have a chimney, the chimney shows us where the engine room was. The engine room contained a motor, and this motor was run by steam for many years. Later they were diesel. But underneath the chimney, in this old part of the building, we have today a kitchen, living room, a few bedrooms and bathrooms. It was the first part of the hacienda that was renovated, but it is now just a small part of this larger property. Let's go see a house. We're now in what was originally the engine room. This room contained an enormous engine. This steam engine would power all of the machinery outside. But today, it's now a living room. The original doorway was at one end, and all the other doorways were actually added, but they were built to look like they were original. As a tribute to being a hacienda, they were able to actually save some of the old parts and use as architectural details. The room originally had these high beam ceilings with these cross beams which were used to hang some of the pulleys that would drive some of the engines. The floors were polished concrete. Originally they were just concrete, today they're polished concrete. The furniture, sofa, tables, and everything were designed by a local, well-noted architect, but built by local craftsmen. Everything in the room was purchased here in Mexico. This is Sophie. She's 14. She actually has been here since she was born and has lived through 2 or 3 owners. You can tell she's pretty happy with her home. The room we're in currently was part of the machine house also. It was just sort of the access room for the motor room. Today it's the kitchen. This kitchen was renovated by the previous owner about 10 years ago, but they did it in a modern way, but with a tribute to the historical Mexican kitchen, which was spectacular with the chairs and the table in the center of the room. It's a very friendly kitchen. It has a polished concrete, but you can see through the years, after 10 years of wear and tear, you see a lovely patina of greens and grays. It's very homey. The sink is lined in marble, all handmade. Lots of old tiles. Some of these look like old French tiles and some are the old Mexican tiles, all mixed in together. Lots of details like custom built-in cabinetry, polished concrete floors, and a very old chandelier in the middle of the room. Most everybody has a bottle of water in their kitchen, and usually it sits on the counter and it's kind of noticeable. This is a clever way of hiding it. Little details like that are one of the reasons you really want to work with an architect, because they think of the things you never think about. Everywhere in the world, people always congregate in the kitchen for a party. In Mexico, we believe in making it comfortable, and we just go ahead and put a table and chairs in the middle of the kitchen. You can sit, you can eat, you can drink. You start out your days with coffee here, you end your evenings with cocktails here. And style sometimes isn't necessarily just about money. Style's about just ideas and taste. These are simple little chairs that people walk around selling in all over Mexico. They're usually unfinished and are very inexpensive to buy. With a clever paint job, a cushion made out of the material that they use the rags to clean floors with. Very simple, very architectural, very sweet. It's a great way to live. This building, the original machine house, really was comprised of 4 rooms. We've seen the living room and the kitchen. The next 2 rooms were turned into bedrooms. But you can still see many of the old details, like the pulleys which would pull the bands that would drive the conveyor belts. Once again, in the bedroom, the owner has custom designed furniture by a local architect, but it was all built locally. In most of the houses we've seen so far, we've always seen pasta tile floors, but in this house, they were very creative. They were using a mixture of different colors of concrete mixed in with tiles, but each room is like its own canvas. So in one room you may have yellow floors, the next room blue floors, but each room has a few quirky little details that give it a sort of an artistic touch. Just off this bedroom, there's a bathroom that has a double entrance. You can use it both for the bedroom, or it's also a public bath for guests in the living and kitchen areas. In this room, they used a green. I've never seen a green quite like this. Very nice, accented by some gold and blue tile work. It's a mixture of old and new, a very modern sink, and this is actually in many ways a modern faucet, but it's built to look very old by using old iron pipes. Stone-framed mirrors, lots of details. Just off this bathroom is the second bedroom. This bedroom is a little bit different than the other one. It has extremely tall ceilings with very high beams. You can see some of the old pulleys that actually were in that location when it was actually a working hacienda. This floor is blue. Once again, we have custom furniture, but this time they used a mixture of wood and iron along with mosquito net. The ceilings were so tall here they were able to do a second floor sleeping area. Since most bedrooms in the Yucatan really did not have closets, we use roperos, which are like armoires. Some of these are built in, some are pieces of furniture. This is one that gives tribute to old and new. It's a mixture of both. We use very hard woods and quite beautiful woods. Here we have the pool area. This was originally a water tank, a noria. This would store the water to be used for the hacienda, to be used for the gardens. And many times in Yucatan, we try to, rather than renovate, we try to restore or reuse what we can from the older buildings. So they took the old noria and actually made a swimming pool. They added a nice lounge area with a covered roof. This has bamboo pieces that actually break the sun. In Mérida, we have sunshine every day. So you do the best you can to try to avoid the sun. And so by building a shelter like this, you're able to use the pool almost every day. If you'll notice, we're surrounded by a tropical garden. Most of the trees close to the pool are actually palms because they don't really shed. When they shed one large leaf. Small ferns, things that keep the pool clean. The shallow area here, it was designed so you could actually lie in the pool without being underwater, but still staying cool and getting a little bit of sunshine.